My mentor told me he had a brilliant idea to stop the phishing attacks. It was my idea from 2 weeks ago. I just stared at the Slack message, the words blurring until they were just shapes. The same way his face was now just a shape I didn't recognize anymore. Then my phone buzzed, a voicemail notification from him. I almost didn't listen. My thumb hovered over the delete icon, but something made me press play. It wasn't his voice, not at first. It was the muffled sound of a conference room, laughter, someone mentioning a client name. Then Jordan's voice, clear and confident, saying, "Yeah, the kid's got good instincts. You just have to know how to farm them." My stomach dropped. I hit replay, listening to the accidental 10-second recording again. Farm them. That's what he called it. That's what he called me. I closed my eyes. The story isn't about phishing, not really. It's about the man I thought was my champion, my guide. The one who was supposed to have my back. It's about the slow, sickening realization that he was just sharpening a knife on it the whole time. Act 1, trust. Jordan wasn't just my senior analyst. He was my mentor, the guy who saw something in the nervous kid straight out of college. On my first day, when I bricked my company laptop trying to install a custom Linux distro, he didn't rat me out to IT. He just appeared at my desk, leaned over, and said, "Let me see." He fixed it in 10 minutes. Then bought me a coffee and told me about the time he accidentally took down the entire internal network as an intern. We all break something, he'd said with a grin. The good ones learn how to fix it. He made me feel like I belonged. Like I was one of the good ones. He taught me everything. How to read packet captures until your eyes bled. The subtle art of corporate email jujitsu. He'd pull me into high-level meetings, introduce me as his secret weapon. The VPs would chuckle, but I'd stand a little taller. He gave me the interesting projects, the ones that were more like puzzles than work. We'd stay late, whiteboarding solutions, fueled by stale pizza and a shared obsession with elegant code. It felt like we were a team, a two-man army against the endless tide of digital threats. When the phishing campaign started hitting our clients, it was our puzzle to solve. These weren't the usual sloppy scams. The emails were perfect mimics of our own invoices. Same logo, same font, just one tiny, almost invisible change in the domain name. From Apex Solutions to Apex Salutlons, the I swapped for a lowercase l devious, and effective. 2 clients had already wired thousands to the scammer's account before realizing their mistake. The pressure from management was immense. I was the one who spotted the pattern. I spent a weekend digging through Dan's records and came up with a wild idea. What if we just bought the spoofed domain, starve them of their weapon, then redirect it somewhere they really wouldn't want it to go? I pitched it to Jordan over Slack on a Sunday night. He replied almost instantly. Interesting. Let me chew on that. I felt a surge of pride. This was it. My first big win. Act 2. The first crack. Monday morning, I walked in ready to get started. Jordan was already at his desk, deep in a call. He gave me a quick wave, a tight smile. I went to my own desk, buzzing with anticipation. I waited and waited. He never came over. At lunch, I caught him in the kitchen. "Hey, any thoughts on the domain idea?" He was stirring his yogurt, his back to me. "It's a thought-lium, but it's risky. Unorthodox." "We have procedures for a reason." He said it so calmly, so dismissively. The mentor tone was gone. This was the senior analyst talking to the junior. Let's stick to the official playbook for now. Trace the source. Block the IPs, the usual. I felt like an idiot. Of course. It was a dumb idea. Too simple. I was a junior. What did I know? I spent the rest of the day running pointless traces, watching the scammer's IPs hop from one country to the next. A digital game of whack-a-mole we could never win. Every new email alert from another compromised client felt like a personal failure. I shared my frustration with Kai, my friend in the networking department. We were playing a game online that night when I told him about my idea and Jordan's reaction. Kai just said, "That's weird." It's a good idea. I argued for Jordan. He's probably right. There are legal risks. Corporate red tape. Kai was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Maybe." Or maybe he just didn't think of it first. The comment hung in the air, a tiny shard of glass I didn't want to look at too closely. Act 3. Rationalizing. I tried to ignore Kai's words. Jordan was my mentor. He had my best interests at heart. He was protecting me from corporate blowback. It was his job to be cautious, to see the bigger picture. I couldn't. I was too eager, too green. He was teaching me patience, process. That's what I told myself. I repeated it in my head until it almost sounded true. But the little things started to pile up. The next day, in our team stand-up, our manager, Sarah, asked for new approaches to the phishing problem. I opened my mouth to speak, but Jordan cut in first. He said, "Liam and I are deep in the weeds on a trace. It's promising." He made it sound like we were a team, but he was the one steering the ship. I was just an oar. He glanced at me, a quick, unreadable look. I nodded, because what else could I do? The little inconsistencies were like static in my head. I remembered him a month ago, laughing about how sometimes you have to ask for forgiveness, not permission. He told me that after I'd run an unauthorized port scan that ended up uncovering a major vulnerability. He'd presented it to the execs as our joint discovery. Back then, it felt like he was sharing the credit. Now, looking back, I wondered if he was just taking it. I started drafting an email to him, trying to explain my idea again, more formally this time. I wrote and deleted it a dozen times. Jordan, regarding my proposal from Sunday, no, too confrontational. Hey, just wanted to follow up on the domain idea, too casual. Building on our conversation. He had shut it down in 30 seconds. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I was arguing with myself, trying to find a version of events where he was still the good guy. Then came the voicemail. I was cleaning out my inbox, saw the notification, and pressed play. Muffled conference room sounds, laughter, and then his voice. Yeah, kids got good instincts, you just have to know how to farm them. The word echoed. Farm, not nurture, not develop. Farm. Like I was a crop to be harvested. I saved the audio file to my desktop, my hands shaking. I named it Proof. Proof of what? I wasn't sure yet. I just knew I needed it. Act 4. Eyes open. The next morning, I saw an email from Jordan to the entire leadership team. The subject line was, a new strategy for the phishing campaign. My blood ran cold. I opened it. It was my idea. My exact idea. Phrased in his words, polished with corporate jargon, but unmistakably mine. He proposed we proactively acquire the malicious domain and redirect it to a landing page to disrupt the attacker's workflow. He didn't just steal my idea. He gift-wrapped it and put his name on the tag. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. The dismissiveness in the kitchen. The way he shut me down in the meeting. He wasn't protecting me. He was sidelining me. He needed time to repackage my idea as his own. The memory started replaying in my head, but this time, the filter was gone. That time, he presented our joint discovery on the port scan. I remembered now. I had stayed up all night writing the report. He'd taken it, added his name to the top, and presented it himself. When the VP asked a technical question he couldn't answer, he just said Liam handled the granular details on that. I thought he was giving me a chance to shine. Now I see he was just passing the buck. He took the credit, I took the risk. The coffee he bought me after I bricked my laptop. He hadn't just been kind, he'd been establishing a dynamic. He was the expert, I was the clueless intern who owed him one. Every act of mentorship was an investment. A way to gain my trust, to make me share my best ideas freely without question. He wasn't building me up. He was building a pipeline with my brain at one end and his career at the other. My entire relationship with him was a performance. I listened to the voicemail again. Farm them. The crowd in the room laughed at his little joke. They were all in on it. Or maybe they just didn't care. To them, I wasn't a person. I was a resource. I minimized the audio file and looked at his email again. A reply from the CEO came in. Brilliant, Jordan. Let's do it. Act 5. The weight of it. I didn't confront him. I didn't forward the voicemail to HR. What would be the point? He would deny it, call it a misunderstanding. He was the Golden Boy senior analyst. I was the disposable junior. Who would they believe? There would be an investigation, uncomfortable meetings, and in the end, nothing would change. He would just be more careful next time. Instead, I did my job. I executed his plan, my plan. I went to the domain registrar, bought the spoofed domain apexsalutlons.com with the corporate card. It cost $9. I configured the DN's records. For the redirect, he'd suggested our company's homepage, a safe, boring corporate choice. I typed in the redirect address, but I didn't type our homepage. I typed in the public submission portal for the National Cybersecurity Center, the official government agency for reporting cybercrime. I attached a note to the submission form with all the technical data I had on the scammer. Every IP, every transaction ID, everything they would need to start a real investigation. I hit save. Then I sent a single simple email to Jordan. It's done. The domain is live. He would get the credit. His brilliant idea would be seen as a success. He would probably get a promotion. And I knew that every time a news outlet reported on the NCC taking down a major phishing ring, every time our CEO praised his proactive strategy, he would know. He would know that the final critical step was taken by the kid he thought he could farm. He would know that I knew exactly who he was. He would have to live with his success, knowing it was built on a lie that I silently enabled. I never spoke to him about it. We still work in the same office. Sometimes we pass in the hallway. He gives me that same warm, mentorly smile. And I smile back. A different kind of smile. The kind you give someone when you share a secret. His is the secret of his betrayal. Mine is the secret of my quiet, unsanctioned intervention. I sit at my desk, the one right next to his, and I fix things. That's what the good ones do. My mentor stole my idea, so I let him win.